Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Real quick, before we get started, I just wanted to issue a trigger warning. Things discussed within this episode may cause an emotional response, a physical response, even a nervous system response, or a visceral response. So, first, make sure to take care of yourself. Give yourself the time and space that you need to process this episode, or maybe just pause it here, come back later and listen to it at another date or time. Or maybe you can get a friend, a family member, or a loved one to listen to the episode with you in order to help support you through the episode. And the episode is starting now. My next guest, I had the privilege to sit down with. He is an educator, a blogger, a business owner, a creator, and founder of Teased. Now, I usually say, oh, this episode is good. Or I usually say, in this episode, we talked about, but I'm going to tell you this one thing. I'm going to tell you two things. This is the last guest episode of this season. And this episode, well, I'm not going to tell you. You got to listen. Listen to the episode. Hello, I'm your host, Sean Aaron, and welcome to Dem Bois Podcast. This show is a platform where trans men of color voices can be amplified as we share our transitional stories and many other issues that are relatable to trans men of color in our existence. This show is not only to amplify our voices, but to raise awareness and conversation around our lived experiences. Welcome to Dem Bois Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Aaron, he, him, his. And my next guest is an educator, a blogger, a business owner, a youth advocate, and creator and founder of Teased. Welcome to the show.
What's going on? Thanks for having me again. What's going on, everybody? I'm Mr. Amari Leach, a beautiful Black man, a strong Black man. I'm so happy to be on another strong Black man's podcast and show. You know what I'm saying? I absolutely love what you do, brother. So thank you for having me. And what's up, everybody?
Yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. So introduce yourself, say your name.
Okay. Amari Leach. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Right now, I reside in the West Side, Seattle, Washington, and it's a culture shock for real. The East Coast is definitely the best coast. I don't care what they tell you. But yeah, I'm definitely, you know what I'm saying, I rep 502, Louisville to my heart, you know what I'm saying, home of the greatest, Muhammad Ali, Static Major. You know what I'm saying? We got beautiful talented souls coming out of there. So I'm honored. I love that I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. And Seattle's pretty cool too, though. You know what I'm saying? It's a new life. It's definitely something,
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that because you said culture shock. We'll definitely I definitely want to know more about that in a little bit. So
for sure.
So the name Amari, where did that come from? How did that name choose you?
It was a dedication to my great grandmother. Her name is Alma, and she passed away when I was, I think, about 6 or 7. And I was her favorite grandchild. We had a bond like no other. I felt like she was the only person that ever really seen me and cared for me. So I wanted to feel like she was living with me, you know what I'm saying, on this journey with me. So her name is Alma Marie. So I took that and did Alma Marie Amari. So it ties in like that, you know what I'm saying? So we have the same initials and everything. So she was definitely, the first person that came to my mind because she's my hero, you know what I'm saying? And she's, my ancestor where I come from. And I'm real big on honoring that. And that's my girl. So that's where my name definitely comes from.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So she must have had an impact on you if you were 6 years old.
A huge one. Yeah. I had to pay homage to her. And it was a way, the last time I felt free was when I was a kid in my youth, before all the trauma, and it was when she was around. So I felt like it was a rebirth of myself and my inner child, paying homage to both, you know what I'm saying? And walking around with a strong Black woman who raised her family, you know what I'm saying? Made it through, from back in the day. She would be in her late 70s right now. So, she's seen a lot. So, it was just right to pay homage to her and to my inner child, you know what I'm saying, that I could never forget about, because when you go through that transition, some people tend to just be like, I don't want to think about that, that time of my life, and that's where I was. But when I started my healing journey, I said, how could I forget the most important person, which is my inner child, where my creativity lives, where my innocence, my love, you know what I'm saying, the feminine energy. feminine, masculine energy is in all of us. And when you abandon one, you abandon the other too. You know what I'm saying? You become unbalanced. So when I tapped back in and was like, forget the gender part. Let me just tap back into that feminine foundation of love, you know what I'm saying, security, nurturing, and all of that. And once I did, it just, everything fell into place from there.
Yeah, because you can't take away everything. You know, we want to forget, but you can't, you know, every little bit equals the sum of who we are in totality. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's a good point. I love that.
Yeah.
So speaking on that transition, you wanna tell folks your transition story from beginning to right now?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I think that we all from the beginning when we were kids knew, you know what I'm saying, something was different about us. When I was a kid, I come from a dysfunctional family. So I was a loner. I didn't have, a lot of friends and all of that. And I always knew I was different. I never wanted to play with the girls, you know what I'm saying? Like when we would even play house, I would always play the father. You know what I'm saying? Like I always knew that I was the man, you know what I'm saying? The man role, you know what I'm saying? So, I used to put pencils in my pants, you know what I'm saying? And please don't try this. But when I was real young, duct tape, to my chest area. And, from a small child, I just always knew that I was a man. I just knew it, you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, I didn't know the terms. I didn't understand why I had to go through this and why I had to feel different. I felt stupid. I felt like an outcast and a loner. But I have to say my childhood was the worst part. But once I got to middle and high school, I started meeting other people like me. You know what I'm saying? That were, at the time, studs, butch, female butch and all of that. So we were all, a crew, but some of us, some, because not all studs are masculine, you know what I'm saying? A lot of studs are feminine, and that's perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? Be you, but I was always the one like, no, you know what I'm saying? I'm not feminine. I'm not, I don't want to be no mother, you know what I'm saying? I'm the father, I'm the man. So the biggest turning point in my transition for me was having people and meeting people like me where I could share like, man, are you feeling this? Are you feeling like you were born in the wrong body? You know what I'm saying? Or are you feeling like you have the wrong parts? Are you feeling like, of course you like women and stuff like that. So once I started meeting other people and looking up, words in the dictionary and learning the history, Marsha P. Johnson, you know what I'm saying? And the Stonewall riots, like doing the history, watching movies, from the L Word, their character Max was transgender, a trans man. So that was my first time seeing someone that I related to on TV. So Max is like a hero to me, that character, you know what I'm saying? Max and Laverne Cox, seeing both of them. And so when I seen that, I was like, oh my goodness, okay, like this is real. This is not something I'm going through by myself. What is this? How do I align with the journey? And, first, of course, I came out as, gay at the time, lesbian. And that was the worst part of my life because my mom, it was horrible. You know what I'm saying? She was not supportive. She turned it, narcissist vibes, turned it and made it about her. And she even, was like, that she was going to harm herself because I was, because I liked women. And I had no support. You know what I'm saying? I had none. I had nobody saying, come here, I understand, will talk to me. So that's when that's when depression and everything came in and I had to be checked into a mental hospital. Because I was, I'm a suicide survivor, you know what I'm saying? Like attempt and all of that. And when I went in there, I was seeing people actually listen to me. They're like, okay, so what is bothering you? And I'm like, listen, I'm not happy with this body. I'm not happy, being known as she, you know what I'm saying? I'm not happy with how I'm being treated at home. Somebody was actually listening to me. And that's what we're going to touch on what the youth need today. People listening and being there for them and letting them, this is a safe space. I understand you. I hear you. You know what I'm saying? And it took me to get to that lowest point when I didn't even want to live. You feel me? As my whole teenage young life, all I thought about was suicide and didn't want to be here. And my life had no purpose. So I never lived. I just worked. I worked and I was the man of the house growing up, as well. I did everything. I worked. I took care of my mom. I took care of my brother. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a life. I didn't go to my first high school football game until my senior year, and I only went to one. You feel me? I had to choose working over basketball. I never was taught to pour into myself and what I love, what I believe in, stand in my comfortability, get to know myself, live freely, live in that creative spirit of like, I am who I say I am, who I feel I am, and I'm going to stand strong in that. I had to find that on my own. And luckily I did, you know what I mean? And so when I got to high school, me and a close friend of mine, we started looking up testosterone and things. And he was like, man, we in this together. We going to start together. You know what I'm saying? And we started our journeys together. We supported each other. We cried on the phone. We was there. That was the only person that I had, you know what I'm saying? And he had me, you know what I'm saying? We just like, I get you, you get me. We're not alone, because I told him, I don't want you to harm yourself. And he was like, I don't want you to harm yourself. So we made a pact that as long as we would stay together, that we would live. You know what I'm saying? So that was a huge point, in my transition. And then, college, gender affirming care was becoming more accessible. And so I met, nurses and counselors, man, and I was able to get on my injections and stuff like that. And so that when that started, I was free. I was free, brother. That's really all I can say. I was free. I was free. I was free, man. Entirely.
So let's talk about mental illness.
Yes.
I know that was something that you wanted to talk about, and so
yes,
we don't talk about it enough. And I know you said that we need to understand the youth. Sometimes,
yes.
sometimes we don't even understand each other, to be honest with you. Even as,
Hey,
I might not understand you. You may not
yeah,
understand me, right? We come from
right.
different life experiences. Different ages, different generations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessarily, this is just my own opinion. I don't think it's necessarily about understanding it, but I do think it's about listening and having empathy for somebody else and how they feel about who they are as a person.
Exactly. And with understanding comes from respecting other people's perspectives on their lives and their feelings and things like that. Okay, I might not agree with you, but I understand you and I'm giving you a safe space to be you. You know what I'm saying? Without no judgment, without me trying to change you, with you just having a safe space to be understood. Because like you said, we different. I might not understand you. You might not understand me, but I'm still going to provide a space where I'm like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I understand your perspective. This is a safe space. Let's talk about it. And if I don't understand, educate me.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
you know.
Definitely. So let's talk about mental illness and how that affects youth or even you as a youth. Let's talk about that more.
Yes. When I was, especially in my youth, because that's when it was, really, really bad for me. I was playing on the girls' basketball team, and I hated it. I always wanted to play with boys, and I hated, just constantly, being around girls and being just in that setting, and it just weighed so heavily on my mental. And I didn't have anyone to talk to. You know what I'm saying? I buried everything so deeply. I had to deal with everything by myself. And I hit so many dark points of, I've tried to harm myself in school, on school grounds, the basketball practice. I would just walk out, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm just like, I'm not comfortable. I don't want to do this. Nobody's listening to me. I feel like this is the only way I can make something of my life, because of course, all they tell little Black kids is that the only way you can be successful is if you dribbling the ball. I sang in, I doing, what I'm saying, stuff like that. So I was like, if I don't do this, what's going to happen to me? And just feeling alone and grieving, friendships and, girlfriends at the time, relationships. I was looking for that motherly love that I wasn't getting from my mother. You know what I'm saying? I was looking for my mom, she was, she's her own hurt individual, and I honor and respect her life and know that she had it rough, but she was my first everything, my first bully, my first just everything, like narcissist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to take care of her. I was made to feel bad. You know what I'm saying? Everything was always my fault. She gave me PTSD. You know what I'm saying? I always had to put her and my brother first above my needs. So it started at home. You know what I'm saying? It starts at home. And I wasn't seeing, you know what I'm saying? My mama wasn't yelling if I wasn't cooking, you know what I'm saying? Having everybody got to eat, brother help with his homework, making sure everybody's close to. There was no room for how you doing. What's going on with you? How you feel, son? You know what I'm saying? Like what what am I missing? Now, I'm not saying she was a horrible mother. You know what I'm saying? Because there were times where she would have that personality of that mother nurturing, like, talk to me. But she was so easily distracted because she wanted love. So anytime somebody would show her love, she would abandon me. For instance, when we would be talking and I would finally trust her and open up to her, somebody would come over or somebody would call. And then the attention went to them. You know what I'm saying? And the attention went to her being fulfilled and her making sure that, oh, it's the person I really want to talk to and around. I felt that. I knew that she really wasn't that interested. She just talked to me in that moment. You know what I'm saying? But she would even be on the phone, like telling the person, oh, yeah, you could come over, all of it. And I'm like, this is our time. Like, I need to talk to you. I need you to hear me. I need you to see me. I'm more than just, I'm not your husband. You know what I'm saying? Like, brother, I was working, going to school, getting home, bringing them food, cooking for my mom and my brother. I was the last one to eat. I didn't shower most days. I had to do my bus on the homework, bro, because I would get home, wouldn't get in bed until 1 or 2, because I would stay up talking to my mom, making sure her, rubbing her feet, making sure that she was, feeling safe and like, Mama, how's your day? Here goes something to drink, making her life better, making my brother's life better. And I'm just like, I don't have a life. What about me? I would just sit on the edge of the bed and I'm just like, I am an empty existence. What am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? If this is the purpose, if I'm going to just be overlooked and no one's going to see me, why am I here? My depression, my anxiety means nothing to no one. You know what I'm saying? And that is a hard thing to deal with when that lives in your mind every single day of your life.
Yeah, that's emotion provoking for real. When we talking about mental illness, right? Do you think that was something that your mother suffered from and it was never tended to?
Yes. My grandmother, they haven't spoken in 3 years. My mom was the black sheep, so you know what that meant. Her kids became the black sheep. We were treated different. My mother was, molested when she was a child. I was as well. So I could understand. That's why I say I understand, but hers is so deeply rooted. My grandfather and my grandmother they had my auntie. My grandmother was like 12. And my grandmother had my mom at 14. You see, so it was a cycle of trauma. And I'm like, my grandmother was a child. My grandfather was way older than her. You know what I'm saying? And my mom she struggles still. You know what I'm saying? She's still like, I've had to put boundaries up because I'm like, I can't take it anymore. You just spewing all your emotions and everything on me, but I'm her therapist. You know what I'm saying? I've always been the one that had to take on all of that because she had never had anyone to listen. And all she really wants, all my mother is a big kid who wants her mom, and her mom's not there for her. You know what I'm saying? Because of the trauma and their relationship, and you know what I'm saying? And it just being a toxic situation. I mean, man, my family, bro, like the dysfunction, I can't fathom it. It took me to get to Seattle to be like, I am so glad that's not my environment anymore, because I can't take it. Y'all sick. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be a family, a unit, and mental illness, especially in Black families, are not talked about. It's brushed under the rug. And I do feel like if my mother had therapy at a young age, had a current mother, had a current father, her father wasn't in her life. Mine wasn't in mine either. You know what I'm saying? In the repeated cycles, if the generational breaker before me would have tapped in, then I feel like, her mental illness could have been helped way better.
So when you went to a facility, so
Mm-hmm.
what happened within your life where you had that switch to where you was like, you know what, where did your self-care start? Where did you start to reconcile with your life and situation back at home with your mom to where you was able to start to come out of that?
Well, when I went to the facility, first time my mom put me in there because the girls on the basketball team, their parents were complaining about my Facebook post about, rainbows and being a stud and all of that. So she just was like, I'm going to let them deal with you. I can't. And I had went missing. I've ran away from home like 6 times total in my life. I had went missing and everybody was trying to figure out where I was. And so I lied to her. And I finally told her the truth. I was like, I was in the park and I was ready to, harm myself, And so I was just like, she threw me in there. And then when I got out 3 days later, and I was just like, nope, I hate it out here. There's nobody out here for me to listen to me. Nobody cares about me, not even my own mama. So, I admitted myself back in. And when I was in the facility, that's when the turning point of self-care, because I tapped into my spirituality. I heard God for the first time. You know what I'm saying? I heard God speak to me for the very first time. And all I heard was, hey, my child. Hey, my child, I'm right here. I'm right here. Follow me. Follow that light. Look right here. And I'm right there. And so are you. Follow me. You needed to be in here by yourself, because I was in a room by myself. All I had at the end of each night was Amari, was me. All I had was 4 walls, a cotton bed, a window, and my thoughts. And I started to pray more. I started to talk to God more. And that's when I heard God. And I was like, okay, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to surrender to the positive feeling of hope that this does not have to be my life. I do not have to be institutionalized. I do not have to commit suicide. I can live. There is a life, like God was telling me, there is a life for you. You're here for a reason. And I need you to listen to me and me only. Not those negative thoughts, not self-harming, not people, not your mom, not anybody. And when I was in there, I met someone named Mr. Henry. I was in the AA group because I suffer from being an alcoholic when I was a teenager. And he saved my life. He was like an angel. He was like an ancestor living, like I knew him. And he was like my father. He was like, if I ever had a child, I would want them to be just like you. And we would pray together. And because I asked God, I was like, can you send me somebody that will care about me? And he was like, what is it? What are you feeling? And I'm like, I just feel, open book. And he just I laid on his chest and I cried. He rubbed my head. He was like, I understand. I hear you. And that was the first time energetically I felt somebody was there for me. And that's when I was like, I'm going to choose myself.
Hey, this is Sean Aaron. I'm the founder and executive director of Dem Bois Inc. I am also the host of Dem Bois Podcast. As you may know, Dem Bois provides financial assistance to trans men of color in order for them to obtain gender-affirming surgery. We have great news. We're currently looking for volunteers to help support our programs. Our programs include our gender-affirming surgery grant program and also our personal care package program. We personally curate packages filled with personal hygiene items. Just to name a few, things like tissue, soap, towels, toothpaste, and toothbrushes. We mail them out to trans men of color across the country who may be in need of help caring for their personal hygiene needs. We are looking for volunteers to help raise funds to support our programs. Also, we're looking for someone locally to the Bay Area to help us put all of the care packages together. If our mission is something that resonates with you and you would like to help support our work, just let us know. You can send an email to hello@dembois.org. That is HELLO@DEMBOIS.org. And we will get back to you with further details. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the next episode. Sometimes I was just talking about this today because I'm a strong advocate for therapy. But in my therapy session today, I was just talking about how things happen for a reason, and we don't never understand why it's happening. So I'm gonna say 2 things. I saw a post on Instagram about a week or so ago. It was an old lady that asked her. She was like in her 90s. They asked her, how did you live to be 90? And she was like, celebrate the small moments in your life, because one day when you older, those small moments that you celebrated, they, in the grander scheme of things, they turn into these great moments of who you are at the end, right? So what I'm saying is things happen for a reason. And this is just a question, right? do you feel like you being in there was, because you say you heard God's voice, it's almost like a divine intervention, right? Because had you
Yes.
been home, you would have never heard that voice because you'd have been
Right.
busy taking care of your mom,
Right.
taking care of your brother, doing all the things that you had to do, right?
Right.
So do
Right.
you feel like in that moment, yes, it seemed like a low point, but do you feel like in that moment that was like, it was meant to be in that moment for you?
Oh yes. Oh yes. It was divine intervention. It was the perfect timing. And like I said, sometimes God pushes you along so that you can hear. So you can hear clearly. Distractions, no distractions. That's exactly what it was. Because I had nothing around. I had nothing to do. It was just me and my thoughts and God. And that's when that's when God was like, I got you. I can come in. You're going to hear me because you think you're at a low point. But right now you're at a changing point. And I need you to switch your perspective. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. So what would be your advice for somebody listening, right? And they in the type of home that you grew up in, and they at that point where they like, I don't want to do this no more. I don't, everybody don't believe in God, right? Some people believe in spirituality or other beings or whatever that other folks believe in, right? Let's honor that. But what would be your advice to someone to be still and to hear that other side so they can come out on the other side?
I think the first thing is know this. It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. I'm trembling because that inner child finally has that voice. So it's coming out right now. It's not your fault. Even when things seem like unbearable and you think that no one hears you, no one out there understands you, no one out there sees you, you are seen, you are heard, and you are not alone. Do you understand me? I honor, everyone doesn't believe in God. I'm spiritual. I believe in the universe, God. All things are great. You believe in what you believe in, but believe in yourself and believe and know that you are going to make it and that you are going to get out of that situation. There is a better life for you. You just have to choose it. You have to choose yourself. Don't let nobody guilt you, including your parents, because that's where it starts. Don't let that guilt and that stuck feeling keep you under thumbs and under abusive behavior that you do not deserve. And if you know and feel that it's wrong and that you're not being treated the best, you keep working on what you believe in yourself, and you get out of there when the time is right and you soar. You soar and you love yourself, and don't depend on anyone to give you that love. I feel any voids. It's up to you to fill those voids with self-love, self-positivity, you know what I'm saying? Self-motivation. It's going to take you, and it's going to take mighty strength that exists within you. You just listen to it. Be still and listen to it because it's there. It's just been silenced, but you can never be silenced because you got a voice. And your voice is meant to be heard. Period. You don't have to choose anything outside of positivity. You know what I'm saying? Honor your voice, honor your inner child, honor your boundaries, honor your life, and know that you will make it through it. Because I promise you, I thought that I wasn't, and I am pushing 30, and I am still here. And I didn't even see past 18. You know what I'm saying? So please hold on. Please hold on. Just please hold on. You have a life that is designed specifically for you. Everybody has a purpose on this earth. In this universe, we are all beaming spirits. Give yourself a chance, man. Give yourself a chance. Don't let nobody take your chance away from you or your voice. Don't let nobody tell you what to do, how to live. None of that. You, as long as you bringing no harm to none, don't take no shit. Period. Don't let people walk over you. You know what I'm saying? One and done. If somebody mistreats you, you put your boundaries up because you deserve to be treated with respect, dignity, love, light, positive energy, and you deserve for everybody to treat you divinely great and right. Don't take nothing less.
Oh, goodness. That was, I don't even know what to say. Shit, we need to just turn this episode off and we done. Shit, really? That right there, it literally, I had to take my eyes off of you because it literally took my breath away. That we done. No, I'm just kidding. We ain't done. We got a little bit more to go, but that was powerful right there, brother.
Yeah.
Like, for real. If I ain't never heard no better advice, that's it. I heard two things. One, if you don't believe in nothing else, believe in yourself.
Yes.
And the second thing was give yourself a chance.
Yes.
Give
Yes.
yourself a chance.
Yes. Yes.
You know, we go through it when we young. We don't see the other side of things. We see other adults and how they live their lives and how they live their lives and how they treat us. And we think that's how life is. It ain't
Yep.
like that. And I went through
No.
some shit too,
Yeah.
with my mom. And I just thought that was it. And I've talked
Yeah.
about it on this show before. And now I realize I'm about to be 42 next month. And I'm so glad I didn't give in to that because
Yep.
I'm living my best life.
And
Like
I'm
the
glad you
best is
didn't
yet
either.
to
You
come.
made it through. We are
Yeah.
living testimonies.
Yep.
We are living testimonies, man. All we had was that big tree of fear in front of us. That's all we had. But once we got taller than the tree, we seen the forest. And we said, oh, it's more to this.
Yes, I
It's
love
more
that.
to this. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You
I
know what I'm
love
saying?
that.
Because we gave ourselves a chance. And we're here today. Two strong, handsome Black men giving advice, standing up. And we are living testimonies. And somebody's going to look at this and they're going to say, that's where I am right now. So as long as I keep going, I can be like them. So that means we've succeeded, brother, on a different type
Yeah,
of plane that we don't even understand.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
deserve a divine purpose that is bigger than us.
You're absolutely right, and that's why visibility matters, right? So folks can
Mm-hmm.
see what visibility equals possibility. So when you're
Ooh,
visible, ooh, I like that. So when you're
I
visible,
like that, brother.
you show the possibilities of up to other folks, right?
Yeah,
I
that was
wish, I
smooth, brother.
just wish, I know it was, huh? I wish like I had somebody to look at or had somebody to some type of a guidance when I was younger and I didn't have that. So you know, I have to be that now, right? Because somebody
Yes.
looking. And of course, right, when I was younger, it wasn't technology wasn't like it is today. You can look at somebody all the way across the world
Oh
in a
yeah.
second.
And
So
my
it's
saying
different.
is, be who you needed when you were younger.
Yep.
Be who
Yep.
you needed. Be who you needed when you were younger. When I go out here and I talk to youth and all of that, it's my inner child talking to them because my inner child's not bondage. Have you ever seen the movie Drop Dead Fred?
Ooh, I don't know that I have.
Okay, watch it.
Okay.
There's a scene towards the end where the main character she faces all her fears. She has an imaginary friend that helps her face all her fears. I had imaginary friends as well. Yes, that's real. And
I
trust me,
did
they
too.
helped. Yeah, they saved me. And she got through all her fears, and her biggest one was her mother. And she got in front of her and she said, I am not afraid of you. Her imaginary friend was like, tell her. And she was like, I'm not afraid. And her mom just disappeared. She walked in a room, which was her childhood room, and seen her inner child bondage and hate. It's an old flick.
Mm.
And she went over and she tore that tape off and she hugged her inner child and she was like, you don't have to be afraid anymore. That is what happened to me.
Mm.
And that movie, that scene, I cry every time, bro, because that's what I had to do. That's what I had to do. I had to tell my mom, I'm not afraid of you anymore. And that was it. My inner child was free. And it's like, okay, we got work to do. So that
Love
inner
that.
child work and that shadow work, man, that ain't nothing to play with. You got to do it.
Yeah, you got to. You
Got
got
to.
to. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So how is your relationship with your mom now?
Well, she's getting older, and of course, she's my mom and I love her. I love her so much. She's a big kid to me. My therapist, because I do spiritual therapy, and she was like, you're kind of a parent to your mom. Your mom trusts you. She confides in you. She puts so much, like she'll listen to my advice. I'll tell her not to do something. She'll call me like, should I do this? Should I do that? This person's doing this. And I'll tell her their energy's not right. You need to protect your energy. Like, it's like that. You know what I'm saying? Where I just try to guide her the best way I can on her path because she's in therapy now, but she still lacks accountability and boundaries. And recently, I had to tell her, I was like, my brother's going through some things. And I'm like, I'm just trying to help him honor his boundaries, but I'm just, talking to you because we can try to help him. And she had got upset with me and she hung up on me. And I was like, oh, I said, okay. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm not going to take that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't do anything to you. You can't, I'm not that little kid you can bully. I'm not finna give you that. You know what I'm saying? And of course, she called her and apologized and said she was wrong. And I was like, you can't keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? When she sees boundaries, she sees it as an attack towards her. You know what I'm saying? So right now, our relationship is just me trying to get her to understand that she can be free too, but she has to choose it herself. I can't do it for her. Because I would always say, I wish I could give my life so my mom can have a happy life. I wish I could give my mom just happiness and all of this. And I was like, I forgot about me. I was like, you have to want that. So I can just give you the best advice because you're the parent. But I don't go to her like she comes to me. I deal with it. I talk to my bros. I talk to God. That's my main source, the universe, my ancestors, my divine tribe, and myself and my inner child. That's how I deal with it because I had to get through that patch and find my own strength, and I don't want my kids. I'm the generational breaker. It stops with me. I don't want my kids feeling like this because I'm like, you're draining me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know who I was, but, I knew I was a man and all of that, but I'm talking about in my heart. I'm like, who am I? Who am I living for? I can't try to save you. What about me? I'm the child. I didn't ask to be here. I didn't ask for this. You know what I'm saying? None of us did. You know what I'm saying? But if a lot of people made better decisions, you wouldn't have a lot of broken, bigger children walking around here. Karmic energy, karmic children that were not made from love, it was stirred in hate and lust. People don't want to get down to the nit grit. That's the problem. You can't just share your soul with the first person that gives you a little bit of attention when you're not giving that little bit of attention to yourself.
Absolutely. This is a little side comment. I don't know. Hopefully people don't, hate me for this, but this is why I believe, I won't say that I don't believe in people not having abortion, but I believe in people making the right choice for themselves. Yes. But I also believe that it's better to make that decision in that moment than to raise a child that, one, you don't want, or two, that you are unable to take care of. And then we walking around at 30 and 40 years old, traumatized because parents didn't make that decision when they had the opportunity to.
And you want to know why the elders can't stand this generation so much, and they say, oh, children are so disrespectful, all of that. And I just talked about this on T with T Talks. Parents, they can't stand boundaries. They can't stand that we are adults now. You're not going to talk to us like that. We understand healing. We understand being heard and listening and being respectful. Everybody, we're not going to take y'all disrespect because y'all don't even love yourselves. You know what I'm saying? Y'all still hurting from what y'all parents did to y'all. Y'all projecting, y'all not being heard as children by y'all mothers and fathers and being beaten, abused, and all those things. You know what I'm saying? And y'all had no business really having children until you healed, until you worked on those things, because y'all projected all y'all hurts and all y'all narcissism, all of y'all abuse onto us. Y'all didn't teach us how to heal, how to save ourselves, how to love ourselves. I didn't know what love was. I thought love was just loving my mom and my brother. I didn't know about self-love because I never seen it. I didn't grow up around that. Self-love, I didn't hear that till I got in college. I was like, what? I was like, that's a new term. I was like, what is self-love? What is that? Yeah. And because I was finding love, you find love in other people. You know what I'm saying? That broken love. And I learned that from my mom, trying to buy love and trying to please people and trying to get them to like you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That don't work. Because when the money dried up, the people gone. Yep. You know what I'm saying? If it's old, it stinks. And if it's new, it'll cut your finger. Money is not the way to buy love.
Say that again.
If it's old, it stinks. And if it's new, it cuts your finger. That's the truth about money.
Yeah. That old money do stink. That is so true. That is so good. I really, what I would like to advocate for, though, really, in all honesty, is for folks to take advantage of therapy. And the one thing, because they say trauma lives in your DNA for up to 7 generations. Yes. And the one thing, good to a point that you made, unfortunately, our grandmothers and our mothers, they didn't have access to the language that we have now.
I was looked down upon.
Yep. They didn't have access to the technology or the access. And people think, oh, I ain't got no money to pay for no therapy. Well, you know what? They got a lot of programs out there that will help you with therapy. They got therapy online. They got it's just so many different ways, right? And I think that if you're saying that you don't have access, you can't get to it, that's making an excuse. And you'll never get to it. If you really, really want that healing, it may not be a therapist. Maybe you need to get into something spiritual.
Yoga.
Yep.
meditation. That has
All
really
that.
helped me. You
And
know what I'm
that's free.
saying?
That's on YouTube.
Yeah, and that's free. Yeah, YouTube. You can go, I follow this beautiful Black goddess. Her name is Nico Marie. And she says, like, I'm a proud Black woman. I want you guys to be on my channel. Here's some yoga challenges, all of that. It's all free. And she does meditation. She does self-love, positive affirmations. So it's just like, it's free. You can literally go on YouTube and get some therapy.
Yep. Or meditate. I saw
Yeah.
just today, a couple of hours ago on Instagram, this young Black father showed progression video of him meditating with his baby when he was an infant. So he would throw tantrums, crying and all of that. And he slowly showed a meditation to now the little boy. I think he looked like he's about maybe 7 or 8. And now he doing his father will walk in the room and he meditates on his own now.
Yeah.
So it's like it's ways to do these things and how to teach our children different ways of growing up.
Yes,
and how to take
healing.
care of ourselves and meditation and all of that. That's a part of self-care. So
and then teaching them that their energy is sacred and it's a positive space, and anything that disrupts that is not for them.
Yep.
That is also a big thing about healing, teaching them what is not for them, what they don't deserve, and for them to notice it on the instant. Because kids, when they're young, they're on it. They can see spirits, they can hear things we can't, they can understand things just as well as animals. You know what I'm saying? It's society that robs us of that as we get older, you know what I'm saying, through the school system, the educational system, and, going through that, then the prison system, then the college system. It's really all the same. All the system is the same. You know what I'm saying? And once we break free of that, we can get somewhere as a people. But that's another conversation. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? So when you nurture that as a child, when they're kids and you teaching them the way, it's going to stay stuck in them because you got them at that right age. So his son now is like meditation as positive energy. So his son's going to be enlightened. His spirit, his vibration is going to be high. He's going to be able to say, "Oh, your energy's off. Nope, sage, whatever." You know what I'm saying? Whatever he does, he's going to be like, "Listen, I feel good in my own space, and I'm only going to invite people that's going to." If my saying is, if I don't feel as good around you as I do as when I'm with myself, then I'm better off by myself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because if it does, it's peaceful over here with just me. If you come in and I'd rather be by myself, as the first sign. Listen, brother. I met up with a girl. Real talk. I met up with her. Her energy was out, she, and I was just like, I was like, I know I'm never going to call you again. I know that. I'm going to walk you to your car because I'm a gentleman first. God bless you. But no, you feel me?
Yeah, that saves you a lot of time, a lot of heartache, money, everything.
So the first thing was, her energy. And then she told me the reasons why she wanted to be a parent. And I was like, that's what's wrong with people. I was like, why do you want to be a parent? And she was like, I just want a kid. I said, so you just want a pet? I was like, is there any depth of, what type of mother, parent do you want to be? And she couldn't answer me. I said, oh, no. I was, I was like, are you healing, from your childhood traumas, all of that? She was like, she really didn't give me an answer. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh God, I know I'm never going to talk to you again. But man, it was nice.
You know what? I hope that you planted those seeds in her. And then one day she gonna be talking about, I met this guy named Amari, and he told me this, and now how we you talking about the guy in the facility that you met, like these little seeds that people plant.
You got to plant them. Yeah, and I definitely did, because she asked me, she was like, "What kind of father, you and you know me, brother, I can talk, I can let you know what time, I'm gonna be a present father, a positive energy father. I'm gonna be there for my children." I said, I want the mother, you know what I'm saying? I don't want us to push pressure our kids. I want them to be their own individuals. We don't own them. I mean, I went up and she looked like a robot. She was like, wow. I was like, yeah. I was like, and I'm not accepting nothing less of the woman that is going to be my wife before she is the mother of my children, for one. Yeah, I like because that. I'm not going to make you a mother before I make you my wife, or before I make my life commitment to you. You feel me? I'm going to honor you first. And then you got to honor me. And then we can bring lives into this world. But until you pass the prime supreme test, the answer is no. You are not having my children. You are not bearing the heirs to my empire, to the blackness, you know what I'm saying? The strong blackness, and not have your energy right. I'm not doing that because that's not fair to them.
More people need to think like that.
Yeah. And it's a process. I'm like, I need to get to know you. You need to be my friend. I need to see you in all lights. I need to see how you think. I need to see, everything's so transactional these days. Love and sex. Everything is just love, sex, money. That's what love is to people. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to touch you if your energy's wrong. How's your mind? How do you think? The simplest thing to turn me off. And I've been talking to, a few older women, and I'm teaching them. I said, you don't have to jump to conclusions or jump down my throat when I ask you a simple question. This is a safe space. You can just ask me the question. And she's like, oh, wow, I've never had nobody say. And I'm like, you are, up there, you know what I'm saying? And nobody's ever told you that you can just simply bask in your feminine energy and just be okay in a safe space to just speak. I'm not attacking you. I'm listening to you. I just asked you a question. I was like, you need to grow, you need to grow up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not about to deal with that.
Yeah. You ain't for me either. I ain't calling you back either.
No. My block list looks like a dang on CVS receipt card.
Hey, them damn CVS receipts are hella long. That is so true. Like, why is it printed out for 5 minutes? I just bought 1 pack of gum. I don't get it. Hey, you got like 10 coupons on there.
And then like buy a thing of Tic Tacs, man, and be like, hey, I mean, it's still print. I'm like, $5 coupon, $5 coupon.
That's funny. I thought I was the only one to notice that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's funny. So let's before we talk about tea with T, I want to ask you a question real quick. What happened to the friend that you made that pact with?
We are forever bros. Our lives, he's still back in our hometown. I'm in Seattle, so of course we don't hang out in person anymore. But we're brothers for life. You know what I'm saying? We're bonded. We both saved each other from, a lot. You know what I'm saying? We were there for each other. We don't talk a lot, but anytime I ring, he rings, you know what I'm saying? We there for each other still. But that's my brother for life, and I'm his brother for life, and I love him. He loves me. And that right there can never be shaken no matter what we go through. It just can never be shaked because we saved each other. You know what I'm saying? Like on the phone crying, like, bro, don't do it type of energy. You know what I'm saying? So at brotherly love, no matter where life takes us, because we are two different men. You know what I'm saying? We are very different. And right now, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I just need a certain type of energy around me. If you're going to be my brother, this is what I require. If you can't meet that, then I just, it is what it is. But the love and the respect and the honor of brotherhood will always be there. I take that very serious, very serious. Once you mean something to me, you mean something to me. And I love you forever. So yeah. Shout out to Ro.
Yo, Ro, that's what's up. Hey, this is Sean Aaron, the host of Dem Bois Podcast. Are you enjoying the podcast so far? Great. I'm glad that you are. Would you consider donating today to help support the continuation of this podcast? As you know, this podcast aims to serve as a platform to highlight and amplify the voices of trans men of color and share our transition stories. The podcast not only aims to amplify trans men of color voices, but it also raises awareness around our lived experiences. You would like to donate? Where can you donate? Great. I'm glad that you asked. Link in our description will take you directly to Network for Good, whom we've partnered with in order to collect donations for the podcast. Or you can visit our website. On the website, click the donate button, and from there, you are able to donate directly to the podcast. All donations are tax deductible. What does the donations go to? Oh, I'm glad that you asked. Your donation will help to support our production costs. We are working with Jasmine from Pink Lady Productions that brings you this awesome content. And also, we pay our guests an honorarium. Pay our guests an honorarium? Yes, we do. Why? Because as trans men of color, we would like to support and uplift each other and honor the time that's given out to come here and share their stories. So if you love this podcast, share and donate. See you on the next episode. Take care. So let's talk about this tea with T. So first I want to ask you, I see a little TM on there. So it's trademarked. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So tea with T, tell folks what that's about.
Well, I created Tea with T in 2019. I wanted to create something to help our youth talk to their parents and be comfortable in doing so. So I thought, I was like, what brings people together? How can you create a comfort zone? And I know every time I would talk to my mom about deep stuff, I tapped into that inner child, that creativeness. And I said, the only time I really opened up is when we were sharing a cup of tea or hot chocolate or pop, or something like that, where we would actually talk in the middle of the night and she would hear me, and I would cherish those moments. So I looked to my ex-fiance at the time, and I was like, babe, I was like, I want to create something where kids can talk to their parents, and it can be like I'm there supporting them through a mug, through a notebook, through something, and where they can be like, mom, our dad, our parent, whatever, can, we have a cup of tea, can we sit down and talk? And then it can create that safe space. So I was like, that's what I want to do, because I barely had that, you know what I'm saying? And I needed that. It would have saved. So my story is my story, and I honor it and I love it, because without it, I wouldn't be here today. But if I had if I could just sit and I had that more often, I would have been able to have more help and know that I wasn't alone. And it's hard to talk to your parents. It's very hard to talk to your parents, especially about uncomfortable things that you're feeling coming out to your parents. You know what I mean? So I wanted to help make that process easy, because both times, the first time, and then when I told my mom, like, hey, I'm trans, I'm a man, all these things, that was difficult as well. But I was like, I'm grown, you feel me? Whatever, you know what I'm saying? I was pushing grown. I knew way before I even told my mom. But when I started like the medical, I was like, listen, it's up. You know what I'm saying? And I had nothing that created a safe space for me to talk to her. So I just thought about what I wanted and what I wished I had as a child. So I just created that safe space, and the mugs bring some tea, and I created the notebooks where the parent can write down and show the child like, hey, I'm taking notes. I'm listening to you. What's that term? So I can look it up, so I can know what that means. You know what I'm saying? Educating yourself through listening to your child. So that's where Tea with Tea. That's what it is. That's the purpose. Yeah, that's I stand on that. That's my mission, and I'm proud of what I created. It is not easy. It is not easy, but I promise you, I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world to know that something I created is changing and helping lives, and it helped me. And my ex-fiance, she was like, she handed me a notepad and she was like, write it all down, babe. She was like, that sounds amazing. And I was just talking, of course, we was smoking a little, Mary Jane, weed is of the earth. It helps. Yes, it does.
Especially with
just
that
don't
thinking
abuse
process.
it. Yeah, don't abuse it. But it was a part of that process. I was like, man, I want to create something special. And so, yeah, so Tea with Tea is since 2019, my show. I've been Tea with Tea Talks 9 months in. I guess, I finally hit over 1,000, so I'm able to go live and stuff. And it was people like you that helped inspire me, you know what I'm saying, to give me that confidence in coming out and talking and using my voice. Because once I aligned my throat chakra and I prayed, I was like, God, you gave me this voice. I have a lot to say that can help the world and help people. Help me use it. Put people in my path that can help me. So seeing other people like speaking their truth and all of that, I was like, man, it's time for the world to hear my story, my testimony, my life, so that I can help somebody else, so they can look at me and say, it's because of him that I didn't give up. It's because of him that I felt heard by my parents. It's because of Tea with Tea I was able to sit and have a cup of tea with my mom and came out to her and it went smoothly. That right there, that's I got chills from saying it, because that right there, that's something worth more than money, gold, silver, whatever. I don't care. Y'all can have it. That right there, that makes me rich. That makes me wealthy.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you saw other folks doing it and you said, I'm still gonna do it. And I think people kind of get discouraged. It's like, just for instance, like, a podcast, everybody doing that, or a live stream or vlogging, everybody doing that. No, everybody ain't doing that. You ain't doing it. And if that's meant for you to do it, because somebody may not like my content, but somebody may love your content.
Exactly. And everybody goes through that. What you said, that was perfect. Nobody talks about that. You do go through that stage where I'm like, man, he does it better than me. It's my way, the perfect. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I'm gonna do it my way. I respect how other people are doing it, but nobody's doing it like me. You know what I'm saying? You have to have that self-confidence and respect for your counterparts. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not about competition. We can all eat. You know what I'm saying? We can all make a difference. Like you just said, somebody may not like my content, but they may love yours. But if they see your content on my page, you get a follow, you get support, you got somebody that you're helping. So we're all in alignment of sending who we need. You know what I'm saying? We all in it together. But they say on High School Musical.
Your movie references. I ain't seen that either.
Boy, I tell you, I didn't like it growing up, but boy, they wore them songs out in school. I was like, oh my goodness, please be quiet.
Yes. I dated somebody that was I'm not kidding you, a walking live musical. Like every second, every conversation, everything is just singing. Yeah, I hate musicals.
You should have been paid for that, brother. But you go through that self-doubt, but what's gotten me through is looking at what I created and saying, you know what, I did this. This is mine. Nobody can take it away from me. I pour everything into it. You know, you got to get your trademark, your copyright. You know, my image is copyrighted. My name is trademarked. You know, it's an LLC. You have to take care of the business side, you know, and I'm still learning. You know, and that's what you have to understand. It's okay to learn from other people. It's not about competition. You know, like the world, you know, sees it to be. It's not about competition. We all in it together. I want to see you win. You know what I'm saying? I want to see me win, and we're both going to win, and we're both winning. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care who don't like my content. I'm still going to do it. You can't, you know, worry about what people think too much. And I had to learn that too, because I'm like, man, nobody, you know, I started off slow, but I think I'm like almost to 4,000 or 5,000, you know what I'm saying, supporters and followers. And, you know what I'm saying, not including people who just stopped by and check me out. You know, hey, you know what I'm saying? You just got to count your wins and know that you just got to keep going and believe in what you created and what you love, because I have no desire to go work for any company, anybody. I want to work for me and my service and my community. I want to represent for the little Black kids and youth that needs images like this, like me and you, brotherhood, coming and talk, loving one another, spread love, not hate. You know what I'm saying? They need more of that. They need more of this, what we're displaying. And that's what I'm proud to say, that, you know, we can collaborate and show that together and be a team and show what brotherhood looks like. And caring for our communities and wanting to see both of us succeed. You know, people think, you know, it's not about competition. You know what I'm saying? You just got to believe in what you have and support as you go along, you know?
It's just like any other thing. If I was a musician and you was a musician, you may not like my music, but somebody may like your music, or write or whatever. You just got to find your jam and who resonates with you the most. And if somebody don't resonate with you, say, you know what? I don't like Sean content. It ain't for me, but I know somebody who will. So share. You know what I mean? So it's about that too.
Yeah, because you share a lot of, you know, your medical advice and, you know, your 10-year anniversary, like you giving hope. You know what I'm saying? Somebody see that like, oh my goodness, I can do that. I can make it to my 10-year. You know what I'm saying? They might want to give up on their first year, but they see you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's about sharing and it's about reaching everybody we can, because somebody needs us all. It's somebody needs us all. So we just got to be there to support each other. Yeah. And that's what it's about.
Yeah. So what platforms is the Tea with T on?
I'm mainly on TikTok. That's where I do record my episodes. I go live, and I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I count Facebook as two because I'm on my personal and my business page with it. But my main in YouTube, I'm on YouTube, and I'm going to be making the switch where I'm going to be doing my episodes a little different and recording on there and like doing my snippets on TikTok, you know, because I love the people to see my face and, you know, see my office and things like that. So they, you know, I can explain and so they can see like what healthy conversation looks like, you know, talk about all topics from, you know, how to identify and deal with narcissist parents, how to, you know what I'm saying, deal with, you know, wanting to live a stealth life, you know what I'm saying, you know, as a trans man, because I know for me, you know, I live stealth, you know what I'm saying? And being trans is only a small part, you know what I'm saying, of me, you know what I'm saying? Like I live it every day. So, you know, sometimes it's not something that, you know, I necessarily want to talk about all the time. I want to talk about things that, you know, that I've been through in my life outside of that. So people can recognize and say, okay, I'm going through this in this. This is somebody who's made it through that. You know what I mean? And of course, you know, trans issues and, you know, anti-trans bills, everything that's going on and stuff like that. I just want to reach everybody on a broader scale so that we can all come together. because that's what it's about. Even though we live in our lives, we all in this together. It's about unity.
Yeah, I want to ask you a quick question before we wrap up about that, about living a stealth life. So, you're saying that so basically what you're saying with the stealth life is you don't want to talk about the transness of yourself all the time. Or you mean out walking in life, or what do you mean exactly?
Well, all around the board, you know what I'm saying? Like I believe, and of course disclosing, like if you're going to be romantic with somebody, but I don't tell people, you know what I'm saying? Like I live my life just as a Black man, you know what I'm saying? Like I just, you know what I'm saying? I'm proud of that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that I'm not proud of being a Black trans male, you know what I'm saying? But I lived the, experience, I went through the dysphoria, all of that. So it's just like, now I feel I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I feel a little bit more free. Let me talk about other things that are a part of me, because I don't want to neglect, the mental illness and everything that I went through just by talking about just one piece of me. I want to talk about all of me, and then just the walks of life. I rather, you just, hey, as a man, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I'm I'm an advocate for trans rights. I work with trans organizations. And at the end of the day, the colors is in my logo. You know what I'm saying? So I'm proud of it. You know what I'm saying? Very proud of it. But that's just a small part of me. I want to live out just how I wanted to live when I was a kid, and I didn't have a choice. I had to live, that lifestyle was forced upon me. So now that I'm escaped from that, I just don't, you know what I'm saying? And I just like, I'm just a man, you know what I'm saying? I don't care about societies, you know what I'm saying? Picture of a man, like I'm masculine and feminine, you know what I'm saying? Both of those energies is in all of us. So I honor both of them. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm finally free. So I just want to honor that and enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? While still respecting my roots and advocating for, you know what I'm saying, our community.
Thank you for that. So this is the part of the show where I like to ask the guests a random ass question. And so my list is at 30 questions now.
Oh, yeah.
So for folks who don't know, Amari was a part of our love, sex, and relationship episodes, part 1 and 2. So you may have heard a question answer before, but that's all right, because this is a whole nother episode about you only.
Yeah.
So just go ahead. The questions may or may not have anything to do with what we talked about. Okay. So pick a number between 1 and 30.
30.
Wow, you want 30. So let me say this first. A trigger warning, right? Because this one can be a little maybe triggering.
Okay.
You can tell me if you want to answer it or you don't.
Okay.
So this was a question that I reflected on for myself about a couple of weeks ago. And so I added this one. So the question is, were you teased as a child at school or by siblings or family members? And would you like to discuss it? And what were you teased about?
Yes, I was teased. I was severely bullied at home with my cousins, my family, at school. So one of the stories is I was really tall when I was younger and in middle school, and the stalls were really short, so I towered over them. So all the girls, when it was time to take our restroom breaks, everybody would run out screaming every time I would walk in, and they made up a rumor about me looking over, which I never did because I always stood in the back to go last anyway. And they would all scream every time I walked in the bathroom. So that also played a part on my mental severely. It was hard to talk about, but every time I talk about it, I know when someone hears it that they can make it through, because I thought it was hell for me. I didn't know how I was going to live through that. And that was around the time where those suicidal thoughts and things came into play. I was teased by my teachers. I was made fun of by my teachers. The teachers were in on some of the bullying. Some of my basketball coaches, I've had coaches call me out my name. I had people make fun of me because I was tall, real Black. I had, acne real bad. I had high waters because I would grow fast, and my mom couldn't always afford, to change my pants and uniform, and my shirts was always, messed up, and I didn't keep up with the latest shoes. My mom was a single parent, so she did the very best she could, and I was teased by my family for being odd and not being like my cousins, and being my mom's child, being the mean auntie's child, everybody bullying us, and my mom was real strict and liked to embarrass us, so she would embarrass us, which gave them more ammo in private to harm us. And playground, and in elementary school, I got talked about, and I got it in fights, and I would it took one time to go crazy, and everybody left me the hell alone. And just people like, just saying like I was weird, I was different, because I was not, that girl child. I knew, what I'm saying, that I wanted to be a boy, and I was just trying to find myself. I was teased for not playing basketball. I was teased for, believing in, talking to people and sharing your emotions, being emotionally intelligent and available. I was called a punk, by ex-girlfriends, because I actually wanted them to listen and honor my feelings and listen to what I was saying, and they mocked me, So yeah. Teasing was a huge part of it. But look at me now. You know what I'm saying? I love my blackness. I'm sexy. I'm handsome. I'm a strong black man. I own my own business. I live in Seattle, Washington. I got here by manifesting it. You know what I'm saying? And listening to God's voice and surrendering to the divine, and knowing, I stood when you stand your ground, you just intimidate people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to stand in my power, and can't nothing rock me. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the world of myself. I love myself. I love everything about me. You feel me? So you can talk all you want to, but you talking behind here. I'm going forward. So
I just love. I'm just so sad. I just love you as a person.
I love you too, brother.
I just, and hearing you speak it's so profound to me, that somebody that has all of and it's just strange how, not strange, but I feel like it's a purpose that you picked that number, and that was the question. It would pertain to your story, your testimony.
Yep.
I just felt, just profound to me that out of all the things that you experience, what I'm looking at right now in front of me, what came out, it's like a diamond in the rough. Right.
Yeah.
So all that, the tease and all of that was just putting pressure on that diamond.
Yep.
Putting pressure on it, and to boom, now it's just sparkling. You know what I mean?
That means so much coming from you, man. Like, for real, bro. And to look like, at you and everything that you've been through, and we here now. We made it, man. We made it. Like, it's an honor. This right here is an honor. I will never forget this. And I love you, man. Listening to you speak and listening how you create a safe space where we could come in and talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, that some of us, you know what I'm saying, that means the world to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, even the people, some of our brothers from the last episode, I've befriended some of them, and we just like, man, we just thank God for Sean, because out of you, I got more brothers. I got more love. I got more support. So thank you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are walking, we are ancestors' wildest dreams, and we are the walking descendants of strength, man.
Yeah. And when I came up with this question, I was reflecting on, I got teased a lot too. And and I take it with me a lot now too, right? I talk about it in therapy. Shit. My mom was one of my bullies, but I got teased a lot. I got teased about the music I listened to. I got teased about everything. I know they used to call me Rainbow Bright in school, because I remember I had this little purple outfit my mom made. So she used to sew. Okay. So I talked about this before. Like, she used to make me jeans with no pockets. so I didn't have no pockets, but I really love this little purple outfit she made me. And it was the purple pants and the purple shirt, but the purples was like 2 different shades. And I got teased. They called me Rainbow Bright. And I hated that I couldn't wear that little outfit, because I loved it, but I never wore it again. But I got teased for a lot of things. But one thing that I will say, we talked about people having children.
Mm-hmm.
People as parents need to teach their children about teasing and the effects of teasing and what happens when you tease another child. Teasing
Yes.
need to stop. That's not about, oh, kids just gonna be kids. No, that's not. Those damn bullying ass kids gonna turn up to bullying ass adults.
Yes. And parents need to realize the part that they're playing and how they act in their actions. But because what you say to your child, you can say to other people. I remember that as a child. My mom yelled at me so bad, cussed me out, called me out my name, pushed me, punched me, and I went to school and did it to somebody else because I was so upset and I needed that rage to go somewhere else. So parents, you are the first example. It starts at home. So how you act to other people, even together as parents, even if you're not doing it to the child, you know what I'm saying? And I wanted to point out, I agree with what you said about the abortion and things like that. People having a right to choose and things like that. I meant to say that I agree with you on that 1,000%. But the parents, it starts with you. You have to understand when you become your child's first bully, you create a bully, you create a broken, hurt child, and those broken, hurt children turn into broken, hurt adults. And they hurt people, they cause harm, and they bully, and all of that. So it starts at home.
Yep. And don't get me wrong, though. There are just some badass kids out there. They just
Yeah.
bad, no matter what the hell their parents did. You come from the best house, the model household. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
you can come from a
bad as fuck.
two-parent home. Yeah, you can come from a two-parent home. I don't like the stigmas on everything, bro.
Yeah.
I don't like how people say, "Oh, if you come from a single family household, all of it." Like, no, you can have a white picket fence, the so-called American dream, and the child still be, it's that neglect of mental. It's the neglect of in what they see in their environments.
Yep.
That's the net grit. That's just the truth, and people want to sit under the rug.
And it's about parents taking accountability for their children's actions. Now, when my kid was in school, he got in trouble a lot. And there was some things I'm like, I know my kid didn't do that because that's not my kid's personality. And some things I'm like, that motherfucker probably did do that.
Yeah.
There's some parents out here that like, my kid ain't do that. My kid ain't do that.
Yeah.
You know your little badass James.
Yeah. You know your child. Because teachers, nobody talks about how teachers can nitpick, especially with the Black kids, because I experienced that. Yep. Teachers and racism and that prejudice in the classroom. I had a teacher who just lied on me for no reason because I was Black and I was the only Black child in that classroom. And my mama was like, okay, I know my child is not going to keep doing this, and she caught it. Right. She's like, you know what I'm saying? So we that needs to be in the discussion as well. Yeah, and then you create, and then when you lying on a child and you treat them like that, you're creating more abuse at home because you don't already know what they go through. Some kids get abused just to eat. You know what I'm saying? They get abused with feet, all of that. You don't know how deep it goes. So watch what you do. Watch that influence. So that needs to be talked about too. Teachers nitpicking with children, just poking the bear. You know what I'm saying? Like wanting them to mess up so they can embarrass them. I see them in trouble, or just projecting their own hatred towards that child. You know what I'm saying? And the child needs a parent that they can talk to and trust to come to. So when you got a parent doing the same thing as a teacher, then what's the child going to do? The child's just going to go be mean to other vulnerable children. Then it's a never ending cycle.
Yep. So many good things that come out of this episode. Like,
yes. Yeah. We got to do this again.
Yeah,
doing this again. Sure. We got to run it back because we got a lot of things that I want to touch on and we got to do this again.
For sure. But I don't want people to be like, damn, that episode was long as hell.
Yeah, I know.
Long-winded. I'm long-winded. And I know you long-winded.
I can talk, man, because I was silent for so long, but bro, when I found my voice, my ancestors told me I didn't have to be quiet. So now I don't. I tell my story. I ramble because I want to get it all out because whatever I say, somebody can hear that and it can save somebody's life. And as long as I'm doing that, I'm living out my mission, my purpose, with T's purpose, your purpose. We got to keep it up. So but I feel you. We can talk though.
Yep. Mic drop. That's it right there. I just want to say thank you for being the guest. I appreciate you. I love you. Brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. And I'll check y'all next time. We gonna run it back.
Yeah, for sure.
But thank you, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to today's show. Once again, I'm your host. My name is Sean Aaron. Be sure to be sure to share this show out with folks in your networks. If you would like to connect with us, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can also visit our website at dembois.org. That's DEMBOIS.org. If you think you will make a great guest on the show, or maybe you have a question for myself or a future guest that you would like to hear answered on the show, please send an email to hello@dembois.org. That's HELLO@dembois.org. Until next time, take care. If you yourself or someone you know is having a difficult time, there's some resources out there for you. First is the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, formerly known as the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Their phone number is 1-800-273-8255. Also, there's a Trans Lifeline, which is a peer support phone service run by trans people for trans people. Their phone number is 877-565-8860. Then there's the Trevor Project, which provides 24/7 crisis support to LGBTQ youth. Their phone number is 866-488-7386. Also, Sage LGBTQ plus Elder Hotline. This connects LGBTQ older people who want to talk to other friendly responders who are ready to listen. Their phone number is 877-360-5428. Lastly, there's the Veterans Crisis Line for veterans, military personnel, and their families. You can call 988 and press 1 or text 838-255. If you would like to know more information about these resources, be sure to follow this episode, click on the show notes, and from there you will be able to find out more information about each of these resources.